main one being David Hardman in a car that his father built back in 1981, the Hardman JH1, 1600cc Formula 2 car.
Very quick car, always super well driven.
Yeah, quick car driven by a quick driver.
Yeah.
And he bolted it in yesterday.
Absolutely.
And when you see it's one of the smallest engine cars there, he does extremely well.
And
so they're
underway.
Off.
Hardman to the lead into turn one straight away. Not a problem for him. Of course, the car a little bit more modern than the car beside him.
Andrew McGuinness in a much more modern car, and then Laurie Bennett in a much more older car, an Elfin 600. And the reason he's not in the program is he's really an O racing car.
Yeah.
And they got the O racing cars up to fill this field out, and we can see they're as quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Except Phil Randall, who decided to stay back in Group M&O.
Yeah.
So
Laurie Bennett, not the slouch of a driver that some may expect from someone who's over 80. But,
he's not over 80. God, he'll get you for that.
That's all right. We live a few hundred kilometres apart. He might cool down by the time he gets to me.
No. He's in his 70s, but he's... we've lost car number 25, which is Robert Whitwell in the Tiga.
Yeah.
SC85, which is a Formula 2000 Sports, which we'll talk about later. That car on the right of your screen is Alan Gissing in the Gissing Holden. I think it was built in 72, so that means it's been racing for 50 years. It's got a Holden motor in it. It looks like a Clubman. It's not, obviously, because it's got a Holden motor in it and it's got a wing on it. You can't do any of that. I would assume that it's built that way because it was cheap to build that way.
Yeah, it was cheap to build a sports car that actually looked like a Clubman rather than something else.
And car 74 is the 5000, the Chevron 5000 that we've been talking about, which had started at the back of the grid because he had problems yesterday, and he's up into 7th position so far.
Yeah, and probably looking forward to moving even further forward in the group.
Pity that we've only got one 5000 here, but there he is, and he's doing it well.
It is. I spoke recently with Malcolm Osler, who's a bit involved with the old Mildred Formula 5000. Of course, Malcolm not here this weekend. He would probably be running his Rolt, but he's overseas at the moment for a couple of months, so no Malcolm Osler.
Well, it's incredible that Hardman on the standing lap was 7 seconds out in front.
And a 128.
So we won't be seeing much of him.
And he's just
on the
done
screen.
A 124.
He's now done his flying lap.
Yeah.
Let's see what we'll wait for McGuinness. 11.7 seconds ahead in a standing and flying lap.
Yeah. Pretty impressive stuff.
Very, very quick.
Here comes that beautiful Formula 5000, the Chevron.
He's lapping 6 seconds a lap quicker than the 5000.
Yeah.
McGuinness on screen at the moment. He's lapping in a 128. He's in second, but he's a long way back, and he's not that far ahead of Bennett, who was in the 129s.
Pretty respectable time.
Only 0.7 of a second behind him. Yeah, Bennett's car would be an early 70s Elfin 600.
I would think so, yeah.
Has been around forever. I did an interview with him yesterday. They might replay that at some time, where he gives a history of the car.
And of course, Laurie's been around the Winton track
forever,
many times over the years. So
even though he isn't 80.
Oh, you're just trying to keep in his good books, I know.
No, Laurie has been around I think he was racing in the 70s for sure.
He was. I certainly saw him competing at hill climbs.
What we've got on the screen at the moment is Rowan Carrick in the Formula Holden. Now, this was our number one formula for a few years. It's called a Formula Holden. It was called a Formula Brabham. It's called a Formula Holden because you had to use a 3.5 litre V6 Commodore motor in it. Rowan, we've got a few examples running, but Rowan's the only one of them out today. He's sitting back in 10th position.
Absolutely, and of course the Formula Holden was not a super highly stressed engine in the Formula Holden to try and keep the cost of the category down, but they certainly had that beautiful snarl of the V6.
Yes, and his is a Hocking, which is an Australian-built car, so it's an all-Australian car.
Yeah.
There's the Norex again. We might see it spit some. There we go. Spit some flame out of it.
On cue. Yesterday he had a bit of a problem with the left-hand door of the car. Was coming adrift from the vehicle. That seems to be sorted out overnight, which is a good thing. And he's all over the back of car 35.
Wilson, who's not in our program. Or he'd be a Group O racing car. It looks like a Brabham to me.
Looks like a Brabham from sort of the 60s.
1600 Brabham, and the flame-spitting Norex gets up beside him. It's a bit disconcerting when you're right behind a car like that. I was stuck behind a turbo Porsche once, and God, I could feel the heat.
Yeah. You'd be hoping that there was no fuel leaks.
Yeah. Oh, there he goes. Dives
down
under.
the inside, manages to take that move. A little bit of a challenge to come back from car 35. Has a look to the inside up the front straight, but I think the Norex is going to have the power. Well, maybe not. Only just. End of that straight, the Norex is just in front. Gets a little bit of a break through the S's there. Beautiful car, of course, green and gold for the pretty much the Brabham colours of the day as well.
Yep, although he did have some that funny turquoise there for a while, but yeah, green and gold for Australia.
Bennett still all over the back of car 36. Looking for a way around is Laurie. Try the outside.
Oh, he's having a great time.
They are.
Really, you would think that the Rolt should run away, but it isn't. In fact, McGuinness's best time is a 27.8 and Laurie's is a 27.9.
There we go.
They are 0.1 of a second behind as they went over the start-finish line.
Heading into the sweeper now. Bennett drifted off the back there a little bit. The car.
So you can forget about Hardman, as we said. This is the battle for second place.
Hardman has just run away and hit. He doesn't need to try any harder.
No. He's the last thing. He was 21 seconds ahead of these two.
Down to a 1 minute 23.2 was Hardman in his best lap, but his last lap was on 1:26, so he certainly backed it off.
Yeah. Doesn't have to.
Doesn't have to stress wear the car out.
Oh, Laurie looks as if to dive down the inside, but thinks better of it.
I think that was just to scare him.
Yeah, well, Andrew's been around for a while. I think he'd be very difficult to scare.
Yep.
Andrew, of course, ran for a lot of years in Formula Ford up the pointy end.
Laurie's moved back onto him as they come onto the start-finish straight. Now Laurie's looking to go down the inside. What's going to happen at the end of the straight? Laurie hasn't got the legs.
No, he's got a bit wiggly under brakes there.
Does not have the legs to come down the inside, but
I'd say he was on the limit of his braking as well when he did.
Yeah, I think so.
Whoa.
Speaking of on the limit, a little bit of
sideways again twice.
Laurie just trying to get a bit of extra attitude on the car to make it turn. As long as it doesn't turn around in its own length, it's all
Yes,
good.
Yeah.
Down into the old tank corner they come. Cars sounding beautiful through the camera, that microphone down there as they work their way down the wriggly bits.
There's
Hardman
our leader.
makes his way onto the start-finish straight for the finish.
David Hardman in his father's built Hardman JH1 takes the checkered flag. Well ahead of second, of which there's still a dice between these two. McGuinness in the Rolt in front. Laurie Bennett behind. Oh, and Laurie Bennett takes a big dive, cuts that lead in half into a quarter. Gets right up on one of those brakes that time and moves up on him.
And again,
and he's
going to make a challenge for the finish.
Yeah, well, the bigger engine of the Rolt will pull it away, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Not
just,
by much.
Gee, no, well, I'll tell you how much. By 0.2 of a second.
0.2 of a second. Good move.
Yeah. So a long wait, or not such a long wait for
Cam was
Cam
in fourth.
In the fourth, we're waiting for David Crabtree, who we
haven't mentioned much about David Crabtree.
Well, we haven't seen him.
No, we haven't. But he's also another Formula 5000. No, does he still own that car?
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
he's been selling a few cars, I think, but I think he's kept that one.
Yeah.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannon's,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover,
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
We all agree now is the right time to start making choices to support Aussie businesses, supporting Aussie families and communities. Well, from their humble beginnings in Melbourne nearly 100 years ago, Penrite now sit as a truly respected global lubricants brand across automotive and industry. And the best bit, it's still 100% owned by an Aussie family that employs Australians in Australian factories right here on Aussie dirt.